anybody watching this on Twitter, from Twitter or on YouTube, that subscribe to my channel, or if you're a fan of my videos and you like my tweets and you're watching this and you follow me, thank you for watching this. This is part one of my VHS wrestling tapes collection. This is part one that I'm going to show you right now. Starting it off, Winter Combat 1995. It says 96, but it's wrong. It's from the In Your House October 95 pay-per-view. I don't know why they're calling it Winter Combat, but it's an In Your House pay-per-view, and it's from 95, not from 96. It's a decent pay-per-view. It's from, oh my god. Some of these matches are from December 95, and some are from October 95. In Your House pay-per-views mixed together for some reason. And I forgot they were mixed together. Razor Ramon versus Dean Douglas is on here, Intercontinental title match. And Dean Douglas was so lame, and that gimmick was so fucking stupid when he came to WWF from ECW. Dean Douglas did not work, and Razor Ramon became a 4-time Intercontinental Champion. Most ever at that time of holding the Intercontinental title. Razor won it for the 4th time, and Jericho has shattered that record. I believe Chris Jericho is a 9-time Intercontinental Champion. So, good for him. Undertaker versus King Mabel. Casket matches on here from December 95. It's okay show. The mixed matches they put on that tape. It's stupid. I don't know why they did that. Next pay-per-view, Armageddon 1999. Vince versus Triple H is the main event, and it's a no holds barred match. You got 4 corners, evening gown, women's championship match. I believe it was in a swimming pool. Ivory, Jacqueline, BB, and Miss Kitty all in it. And that after the match, after that swimming pool women's title match, Miss Kitty got topless. The cat, former diva Miss Kitty, the cat, whatever you want to call her, got nude. If you see here, it says TV 14 contains nudity. Contains nudity because the cat showed her tits for about 10 seconds and then was covered up. Also, Kurt Angle versus Steve Blackman is on here. 16-man tag team battle royal is on this show. Tag team titles, Rock and Mankind, Rock and Sock Connection versus the New Age Outlaws are on this pay-per-view. Armageddon 99. It's a very good pay-per-view from the Attitude Era. Up next, VHS In Your House greatest matches, best in your house. I believe 4 or 5 matches are on here. It's only an hour video. Bret Hart versus Diesel, cage match. Goldust versus Marty Jannetty. Shawn Michaels versus Jeff Jarrett for the IC title, where HBK won it in July '95 in your house. Bret Hart versus Jerry Lawler from the first In Your House is on here. In Your House Greatest Matches video. In all these boxes, as you can tell, they're flattened. They're flat because all these videos I own on DVD now. That's why they're all flat. But I saved all the boxes because I didn't want to throw them away. Anyways, WCW, NWO, Superstar Series video, Sting Unmasked. It's like a tiny, not a documentary, but a couple interviews with Sting on here about some of his rivalries and matches against Vader, Rick Rude, I believe Lex Luger is on here. Sting versus Macho Man from Spring Stampede '98, I think. Matches on here when Sting was world champ in '98. Sting versus Scott Hall, uncensored '98 pay-per-view is shown on here, and that's all I can remember that's on here. Sting Unmasked. I'm a big Sting fan. It's a good video. Only an hour long, but it's good. Old WCW 1992 release, I believe, or some 91 maybe. I don't know the year, but it's from 92 or 91. Greatest Grudges, Sting versus Lex Luger is on here. From Super Brawl 2, which was held in my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a pay-per-view. Sting versus Ric Flair feud is shown on here in clips of their match from Great American Bash 1990. Sting versus Flair. Roddy Piper versus Greg Valentine from the first Starrcade dog collar match is shown on here in clips of about 2 or 3 minutes long only. Tully Blanchard versus Magnum TA feud is on here in their cage match from Starrcade, I believe is Starrcade 85 or 86. Their I Quit cage match. And the Buckhouse Stampede 88 steel cage main event match is shown on here. Clips is shown. And Buckhouse Stampede was not a very good show. 1988. If you want to check it out, that whole show's on the WWE Network. In the Buckhouse steel cage match, whatever they called it, Buckhouse Stampede match, 1988 in a cage. You can find it in the pay-per-view section of WCW on the network. Next tape, Best of Rick Rude. Rick Rude Raw video. Shows Rick Rude in his matches against Sting from the Clash of Champions. Shows Rick Rude winning the U.S. title from Sting on a Clash of Champions from 1991 in November. And it shows Rick Rude versus Ricky Steamboat, Bash at the Beach 90, Beach Blast, not Bash at the Beach, Beach Blast 92. Their 30-minute Iron Man match. It is one of the best Iron Man matches of all time. Rick Rude and Ricky Steamboat from Beach Blast 92. It's a hell of a match for the U.S. title. 30-minute Iron Man. Check it out on the network. It's awesome. Battle of the WWF Superstars 1992. This box is giant, as you can see. I always thought it was funny that the boxes are giant for some reason. In the early 90s and late 80s, they came out with giant boxes, and you would rent a video or buy it. You got Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper versus Sid and Ric Flair is shown on here from Madison Square Garden. I believe is a primetime wrestling match. Also, Tatanka versus the Warlord, El Matador versus Skinner, Virgil versus the Repo Man. Not a lot of entertaining, good matches there. Not at all. All those guys were pretty boring in the ring. Tito Santana wasn't as El Matador, but Tito was at the end of his career when he was El Matador, and he was a good worker, and Tatanka is a good worker and was. The Repo Man, Warlord, and Virgil were really boring. Repo Man I thought was entertaining when he did his little segments of breaking in people's cars, smashing their windows and taking their car because he was a Repo Man, and stealing a 10-year-old's bike because he's repoing their bike. I always thought that was funny stuff that Repo Man did, but he was entertaining, but he shouldn't have wrestled. And Bret Hart and the Natural Disasters versus the Nasty Boys, and the Mountie is on this show. Here's the back of it, if you care to see. Bret Hart drilling the Mountie. Picture of Tatanka. I haven't watched that video in years, and I don't really plan to. I'm a busy man. WCW release from 92 or 93 it came out. I don't remember. Deadly Venom, the best of Sting. Sting, his tape's only 30 minutes. I don't know why they made it so goddamn short. That pissed me off when I bought it many years ago when I got it. That pissed me off that it's only 30 minutes. I was very disappointed in that. Anyway, Sting versus Cactus Jack is in here from Beach Blast 92. Sting versus Vader. Strap match is shown, and Sting versus Vader from Starrcade 92 is shown, and Sting versus Rick Rude is shown. There's the back. If you care to know. Picture of Jesse Ventura at the bottom. I don't know why. And two pictures of Sting. Old school. Sting when he had the flat top, blonde hair, spiked, and many different color face paint. I was a big fan of that Sting in the early 90s, late 80s. Next tape. Raw Hits. Raw Hits. All these matches are from Monday Night Raw from the year 1995. It's only an hour video. You have Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid is on here from a 94 Monday Night Raw. That was a great match. I think it went 30 minutes. And Bret was WWE champ. Owen Hart, Yokozuna, and Hakushi versus Bret Hart, 1-2-3 Kid, and Bob Sparkplug Holly, 6-man. Alundra Blades versus Bull Nakano is on here for the women's championship. And Lex Luger versus Tatanka in a steel cage There's the back of the video if you care to know. Grudges, Gripes, and Grunts. 1993 release from the WWF. You got some Monday Night Raw matches on here. From 93, Shawn Michaels versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. In 2 matches they had. One was a lumberjack match, one was a regular match. Shawn got clotheslined into the crowd in the Manhattan Center, and he ran away when he was in the crowd. And then Jim Duggan got a rematch for the IC title, and it was a lumberjack match. And Jim Duggan lost, and was never a champion in the WWF. Also, you got Macho Man and Bret Hart in a 1992 primetime wrestling match versus Nature Boy Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Very entertaining tag team match that is. Mega Maniacs, Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake versus the Beverly Brothers. It's a good tape, one of my favorites. I got it on DVD. I haven't watched it for years, but I remember it, and it's a good tape. WWF Action Zone. The Action Zone. See Vader and Undertaker on the cover. There you have a match on here from a Superstars taping from 96. So it's put out in 96. There's a couple matches from Raw on it. Ahmed Johnson versus Vader in a King of the Ring qualifying match from 96 is on here. Stone Cold versus Savio Vega, King of the Ring qualifying match is on here. And Owen Hart and British Bulldog against Ahmed Johnson and Mark Merrill, the Wild Man, is on here. And as we all know, Stone Cold won the 1996 King of the Ring after he qualified. He won it and he cut a great Austin 316 was born promo. We all know that. We all remember that, know our history about the business. We all know that promo skyrocketed Stone Cold Steve Austin after he won the King of the Ring 96. He became a top guy, and he was a top guy ever since after that King of the Ring 96. They dropped the ball with him before Survivor Series 96 when he faced Bret Hart. Stone Cold could have been in many bigger and better pay-per-view matches, but they just did not book him well at all. After King of the Ring, he wasn't even on the July pay-per-view. After King of the Ring, which was in June, he was on the Free For All kickoff show for SummerSlam 96. Yokozuna went up for the Banzai drop, top rope snapped, and Steve Austin beat Yokozuna. And it was a pre-show match, or whatever you call it, free for all match. And then in October, he was on a pay-per-view, Buried Alive in Your House against Triple H, and that wasn't a big match either. And Steve Austin didn't really get over until he worked with Bret Hart at Survivor Series. And then 97, he won the Royal Rumble. He screwed Bret Hart and threw him over the top when he was already eliminated, and he won the Royal Rumble. And in WrestleMania 13, as we all know, that know our history, Steve Austin and Bret Hart had an awesome match at WrestleMania 13, submission match. It was epic. Next one, WCW release. New blood on the block. These show some of the rookies that were in WCW, some of the young stars from 91 and 92, like Buff Bagwell, Too Cold Scorpio, Brian Pillman, Johnny B. Bad. Buff and Johnny B. Bad were god awful. Their gimmicks were dumb. Buff Bagwell didn't have a gimmick, he was just a wrestler. A pretty boy. He was a former stripper. I believe someone running WCW, maybe Missy Hyatt, found him. I don't know who found him, but Buff was stripping in a club and someone found him, and that's how he got a job in WCW, because he was discovered as a stripper and he looked like a Chippendales dancer. So they thought, let's give the guy a job and make him a wrestler, and he sucked. He tried, but he sucked, and I was never a fan of Buff Daddy. Brian Pillman, great worker, great wrestler. After 92, he got better. He got really good at cutting promos. In 95 and 96, he was great at talking on the mic. And WCW let him go to ECW for some reason, and he was nuts and out of his mind there, and he was a loose cannon there. And then he went to WWF. Things did not work out. He got in a really bad car accident. His ankle was gone. Could barely walk. He only wrestled maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 matches on TV and pay-per-views. Maybe 5 matches. But Brian Pillman, when he was in WCW, he was great. Flying Brian was great. Next tape, WCW Bone Crushers. It's a 30-minute tape about all the tag teams WCW had in the late 80s and early 90s. They show Road Warriors clips, Doom clips, and Steiner Brother clips. Also, Rock and Roll Express highlights, Midnight Express highlights, Fabulous Freebirds highlights, and the Andersons, Arn Anderson and Ole, and that's all they show in here. It's 30 minutes. I believe I might have paid $8 or maybe $12 for this, so I don't feel ripped off. It's only 30 minutes, but it should have been an hour. WCW Mega Slams 1992 release, and I don't even remember what they show on here. They highlight and show highlights of guys like Lex Luger, highlights of Sting. There's a short Sting music video in here of his old theme music he had in 1990. They play his theme in the background and show highlights of him kicking jobbers' asses. Big Josh, they show in here, which was the original Doink the Clown. That was Big Josh. He was pretty lame in WCW. Stupid gimmick of a outdoorsman, woodsman. He had a wrestling bear come to the ring with him once or twice. Big Josh was stupid. They show the Steiners in here from Japan winning the IWGP Tag Team titles, and they show El Gigante clips and Ron Simmons clips playing while they're playing their theme music. They just show them kicking and beating jobbers' asses. Mega Slams, decent tape, not good or great. '96 release Shawn Michaels video, and they show HBK versus Razor SummerSlam '95 ladder match on here. HBK versus Owen Hart from February '96 in your house. HBK versus Yokozuna from Raw January or February '96, and HBK winning the Royal Rumble '96. Highlights are shown, and HBK versus Tatanka from a Superstars from '96. Next one is Attitude Era pay-per-view WWF in your house breakdown. Main event was a triple threat for the title. Stone Cold versus Taker versus Kane. This is a very entertaining pay-per-view. If you want to check it out, it's on WWE Network, and I was very entertained by this pay-per-view. It's one of my favorites from the Attitude Era. It's a great pay-per-view event. Ken Shamrock, Mankind, and The Rock in a triple threat steel cage match. Gangrel is against D'Lo on this show. Vader is against Bradshaw. And Vader or Terry Funk at the end of the match. Bradshaw gives one of them a brutal clothesline from hell. Check that one out. It's a hell of a highlight. Best of WCW, NWO, Great American Bash video. Great American Bash 89, Steamboat versus Lex Luger, US title is shown on here. Ric Flair, Sting, 1990, Great American Bash is shown on here. This is not the match. That picture is not from the Bash 90. That picture is from Starrcade 89. How do I know that? Because I know it. They were wearing that gear in Starrcade 89 when they wrestled. How do I know that? Again, because I'm insane and I know stuff that nobody should or would care to know. Here's the back. We show the Giant, Jericho, Macho Man. They show, what is his name? Goldberg is in here. The Giant, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Hollywood Hogan, and Ric Flair and Sting are all shown in that video. WWF Armageddon 2000. Very good pay-per-view event. One of my favorites. You have a 6-man Hell in a Cell WWF Championship match. Kurt Angle was champion and retained. That was pretty shocking that he retained, versus The Rock, versus Stone Cold, versus The Undertaker, versus Rikishi, versus Triple H. And Taker chokeslammed or pushed Rikishi off the edge of the cell, and he fell onto whatever the hell it was. Fell in a truck that was padded, but it was a cool spot anyways. Intercontinental title, Billy Gunn versus Chris Benoit is on here. China versus Val Venus. And last man standing match, Kane versus Chris Jericho's on here. As I said, it's one of my favorite pay-per-views. Insurrection 2000 from London or Manchester. I know it's from the United Kingdom. Insurrection 2000 says on the box contains nudity. You can see that writing in yellow. Contains nudity. Right there. I don't remember who got nude in it, but maybe I'll watch it back tonight to see who got nude. We had Terry and the Cat in an arm wrestling match. So one of them maybe got topless and they were holding their top up. Because I don't remember seeing either one ever get topless on this show. I know the Cat did, as I said. The Cat was topless at Armageddon 99. You got the Dudleys in here versus Dudleys versus Rikishi and Shokishi, and Kane versus Bull Buchanan, Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle. That was a good match on this show. Crash Holly, Hardcore Champion, versus the British Bulldog. Hardys versus Edge and Christian for the tag team titles is on here. And The Rock versus Triple H versus Shane McMahon is the main event. As you can see, they're on the cover of the box. Raw Attitude video shows highlights of matches from January and February 98 of Raw. Shows highlights and clips. It's 30 minutes. It's pretty boring. I mean, the matches they picked are pretty boring. They picked Headbangers versus Quebecers and stupid matches like that. And I found this tape at Toys R Us in the year 2000, I believe. And it was only like $10, so I bought it from Toys R Us. Next one, In Your House, Revenge of Taker, Mankind and Undertaker on here for the WWF title. All these matches from In Your House are from April 1997. In Your House pay-per-view, Revenge of the Taker. You can watch it on the network if you got it. Here's the back. Stone Cold versus Bret Hart is on here. WrestleMania 13 rematch. It's not a submission match. It's just a one-on-one, no gimmick match. Taker throws a fireball on Paul Bearer. Throws a fireball at Paul Bearer's face and burns him at the end of the main event. Decent pay-per-view. Not great, but a good pay-per-view. Next tape. Dwayne The Rock. You know who that is. Huge movie star right now. The Rock Know Your Role video released in '99. This was his first ever video tape release they did on The Rock. It's called Know Your Role. Here's the back. Rock bottoming Triple H, laying the smackdown. Rock, one of the greatest of all time. No one can deny that. Not better than Stone Cold, but one of the greatest of all time. Huge star. He deserves to be on a Mount Rushmore of WWE. Stone Cold does, Taker does, Rock does, Hogan does, and the fifth guy, Shawn Michaels. Those five guys, HBK, Taker, Rock, Austin, Hogan, deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore of WWF / WWE wrestling history. They built the company. Next tape is called Smack 'Em, Whack 'Em, 1992 release. It's a good release. You got Yokozuna on here. battling. I don't know what he's doing. So Yokozuna is eating on here. And Undertaker takes on Razor Ramon on here. Bret Hart takes on Shawn Michaels on here. In the first ever ladder match from Primetime Wrestling. It was taped for Primetime, or it was taped maybe for this videotape release. I don't know, but it's the first ladder match in WWE history. Bret Hart beats Shawn Michaels to retain the Intercontinental title. First ladder match, it was done in '92. That's what I know for sure. Next tape from the '80s. Hacksaw Jim Duggan video on Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Shows his feud and match with Harley Race on here. Shows his match against Andre the Giant from the Boston Garden on here. Entertaining match. Shows his match against Dino Bravo on here, and it's decent. WWF 1995 release. Big Daddy Cool Diesel video. Got Diesel versus Owen Hart on here for the WWF Championship. You got Diesel versus Jeff Jarrett from a Raw is on here. And Diesel versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 11 is shown on here also. And Diesel versus King Kong Bundy is on here. It's a good tape. Glad Kevin Nash got in the Hall of Fame this year. He deserves it. WWF Break Down the Walls Chris Jericho video. I believe this is the first video they put out of Jericho. I believe it's from 2000. Late 2000 when they put it out, or sometime around there. I don't remember the matches they show. It says Last Man Standing match they show versus Triple H is on here. His matches against Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle are on here. And that's about all I know. Right. Now we're getting into old school. See the tape right there. Still got it. Rockin' Wrestling episode VHS called Ghost Wrestlers. I know they just put out one Rockin' Wrestling episode on the network. I watched it. It was entertaining to watch again and brought back a lot of memories. I haven't watched this in well over 10 years, and I don't plan to because I don't have the time. But it's a classic, that's for sure. It's a classic. Next, FMW release on Hayabusa. Great high-flying wrestler from Japan. Hayabusa is a hell of a wrestler and worker, great high flyer. I believe he got paralyzed after doing a shooting star press. I'm pretty sure he's still paralyzed. I don't know if he's paralyzed from the neck down, but he got paralyzed after doing a high-risk maneuver. See him right there. His face and mask. If you never saw his matches from Japan or FMW, you should. He was a great talent. And if you got the network, you can watch ECW Heat Wave in '98. He's in a tag match with Hakushi against Sabu and RVD. Hayabusa, Flying Assassin. Entertaining video on him. Up next, another FMW video. This is called the Legends Dawns. Legends Dawns. Got all their hardcore matches are shown on here from Japan. Hayabusa's on here. Super Leatherface is on here. And Mike Awesome's on here against Hayabusa when Mike Awesome was known as a gladiator in FMW. I don't remember the other matches because I haven't watched it in a couple years, but it's entertaining. Good video from FMW. I'll be back with part 2 soon. So I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my VHS wrestling video tape collection. Bye for now.